12 gauge Birdshot, number 8 to be specific. Low recoil, inexpensive, you can find it everywhere. Did the job a moment ago in that target practice session with the Mossberg 590 A1 special purpose. That's a 20-inch barrel, 1 gallon water jug. It's going to open that up, no surprise. Also the 2-liter carbonated beverage, same thing there. Getting into something a little bit more difficult, that is a 13-pound steel plate. Just enough energy at 50 feet to knock that off the pedestal. So target practice, we know what's going to happen. Folks use Birdshot for hunting small game and birds and so forth, but what about the concept of home defense? How does Birdshot stack up against a slug and buckshot? We're going to give that a little bit of a test using a ballistic gel format. For this brief comparison, I am using 2 3/4 inch shells across the board. First, the 1-ounce rifled slug or Foster slug. We have tested this. Next is double-aught buckshot, 9 pellets. We've tested this as well. Weight of that payload is about 1 1/8 ounces. Coincidentally, that's what we have here with the number 8. 1 1/8 ounces, but we have a lot of small pellets. There's our powder, and then you've got a couple of hundred pellets that would be going down range. And the size relative to a BB, that's a .177, and you can see it's going to take a lot of those to make up for the mass. So compared to these other options, and certainly there are more we're not looking at for the 12 gauge, is there going to be strength in numbers? We're ready to crack the block on this sim test media. This is calibrated to match the specs of 10% ordnance gelatin. It's 20 inches in length. I don't think we're going to need anywhere near that for this number 8 Birdshot, and it weighs approximately 50 pounds. So a lot more mass and density than these 1-gallon water jugs that we like to blow across the backyard. It's already 80 degrees in the shade, but the block is at 69 degrees. We're going to tag this with the Mossberg from 20 feet. That wasn't anywhere near as dramatic as the 12 gauge test with the buckshot or the 1-ounce slug. That really shouldn't surprise us. I do think we captured the majority of the pellets in the block itself, and you can see the concentration here. That could leave a mark. We had some pellets in the platform, not surprised at this distance. That was expected. Have a few skimming across the top. And in fact, one of these, and I believe that one that skimmed right there, stopped here on top of the block. We're going to take this indoors where it's much cooler so I don't turn this block into a pile of blob, and we will wrap up the evaluation there. I'm pretty certain that I'm already getting this question. Why didn't I use 4 layers of denim in this test? Number 1, I use it primarily for testing handgun ammo. That is an IWBA protocol, International Wound Ballistics Association. Second, I did not use 4 layers of denim in my earlier test of 12 gauge load, so I didn't use it today. Now, I focused my knife, the position, cutting down the middle of this block or close to it, based on where we could see the heaviest amount of damage or impact on the outside. So cut that open, and do you think that is the result of a concentration of pellets or something else? Because it made a pretty big impact. It was something else. It's the plastic wad. That caused the most concentrated amount of damage, and that penetrated about 3 inches. Now certainly heavy clothing would have had an impact on that. I don't know if it would have penetrated 3 inches, and of course you have bone and rib cage and other things working there, but I think that's just unique to this block. So that's the worst amount of damage I'm seeing. Now we are getting a lot of pellets in the 4.5 inch range, 5 inches, maybe 5.5 or 6. And don't know if it's showing up in this sliding, but you might pick up 1 or 2 that are underneath this slice, just underneath that layer. Now there's one on this half visible there. That came in at 9 inches, but I don't see anything, at least in this layer, that's going beyond 9 inches. Most of these are less than 6 inches, and that is replicated on this half as well. That's coming in, that's about 4.5. That's about 5, and we did have another one over here, and that is pretty much exposed. That is also at 9 inches. So at this level, and I'll take some more slices, I'm not seeing anything more than 9 inches, and the greatest majority are going no more than 5 or 6 inches. Now this perspective might annoy some folks because it's different, but I think it's essential to what we're trying to accomplish and the best method for doing so, and I'm going to try to move through it quickly. These are the sections you saw a moment ago, but you saw the other side of those. They are on the table, so that wad is actually underneath about right there. What I did, I went over an inch on both sides and sliced so we could get more of this pattern. Everything is still coming in at about 4 inches, although we have one at 5 and a couple of others, but the majority of these are coming in at 4 inches. And keep in mind, we're moving away from the center of penetration. Now I did find one pellet that showed up, and that is at 11 3/4. That's deep, but I haven't seen anything else in that range. So we got a handful between 9 and say 12 inches, literally a handful. Now this is the outside on the left, and I kind of cut into there so we could see a little bit. And what pellets I did see were coming in anywhere from 3 to 4, maybe 4.5 inches. There's one there that's about 4.5 to 5. Same thing over here. Again, we're working out from the center of the path. Same thing. I don't know if you can see them, but there's a couple of pellets in there, 3 to 4 inches. So here's what's going on. The closer to the center of impact, the greater the penetration. Even at that, we're getting a handful of pellets that are getting into what are considered the vital areas, 9, 10, 12, not even 13 inches. We're nowhere near that. And you're talking about literally a few grains of lead. That is it. So that's the whole point of this. You're not getting that much lead deep enough for vitals, and the further away you get from the center of impact, the less penetration that you have. That's the point. We could certainly debate that birdshot is less likely, much less likely, to over-penetrate compared to other options for 12 gauge. The way I feel about it, if you're loading up with the primary concern of over-penetration, you are very likely, most likely, going to under-penetrate on the very thing that you're trying to stop. So, are you thinking for the 12 gauge birdshot, buckshot, or the 1-ounce slug? Regardless of which option you choose for 12 gauge home defense, hopefully just this sound by itself will prove sufficient in stopping the threat. Thanks for watching.